Hey, healing family. So, just to start off, I did want to address I know there's been some frustration and some questions about those annoying ads that can pop up in the middle of our videos, especially it can be really jarring for our nervous system during our videos about recalibrating our nervous system and mindfulness. So, here's the deal. Until we reach a certain number of subscribers on this channel and a certain number of watch hours, because I am like a really small independent channel, right? I knew I have a great community with you guys, but I'm not one of those big channels with millions of subscribers. So we're not monetized right now as of September 2023. We don't have control over any of the ads you see on this channel. We don't get paid for any of those ads. Those are the YouTube rules. So on smaller channels, YouTube controls all of that and they make money from the smaller channels. So we're on a journey together. And when we hit a milestone of getting to a certain number of subscribers and view hours, then we actually will have that option to be monetized, and we'll be able to talk about what types of ads you see and sometimes even ad placement from what I've heard. Again, it's kind of like this elusive YouTube secret until you get to that point. But from what I know from other channels, I will be able at that point to have some say over putting the ads, like maybe right in the beginning, and then you can just watch it and then have the whole uninterrupted meditation. So I really want to get to that point, and I'm sorry that I know for some of you said it's tough when you're in the middle of brain retraining and an ad hits. But until then, until we get to that milestone, just know that your support really means a lot to me. And every time you do watch a video or subscribe, it does help us to get closer to the goal of being able to control those ads. So thanks for understanding, and hopefully, we can do a brain retraining script together right now, and hopefully an ad doesn't pop up. Eventually, maybe if you're watching this video in the future, we will already be at that point that we have the subscribers, and once that milestone hits, I will be moving all the ads so that they don't interrupt. So I wanted to get that out of the way, but today we are going to do a meditation and brain retraining script to balance our nervous system and to kind of retrain our brain to be less reactive to stimuli. So let's find a comfortable, quiet place where you won't be disturbed, or just try to figure out a space where you are able to maybe put your headphones in and just focus in for a few minutes. So we're going to start by closing our eyes and taking a deep breath in. We're going to allow that fresh air to fill our lungs, and then we're going to exhale very slowly, releasing any tension. We're going to focus in on our breath. So maybe we do a very somatic breath exercise, maybe breathing up as we trace our finger and down into the valley, and breathing up as we trace our finger down into the valley, and kind of continuing. So we're matching a somatic coping experience with our breath. And this can be a really grounding way to practice our breath when we're in a situation that we need a little bit more of that stimuli to help us stay grounded. We might also want to count our breath, so maybe counting in for 3 and then counting out for 5. Anytime that we breathe in, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we work on having that exhale be longer than our inhale, I think I've said this before, but for anyone new, anytime we can get our breath into that state of relaxation, it signals that we must be safe. Because when we're in a state of fight or flight, our breath automatically hyperventilates. And so we take these big inhales and we're kind of like huffing and puffing, or we take really short, shallow breaths because we're fearful, we're frozen. So if we can take a nice deep inhale and then a slower, longer exhale, that's this kind of breathing that we have when we're relaxed. So if we can kind of hack our system to just start with the breath that way, it will help our nervous system relax as well. So we're going to release any tension we have in us, and maybe with our eyes closed, we're going to just picture ourselves in a peaceful forest. There's tall trees all around. There's birds chirping. I know my bird is chirping as usual today out here on our porch. And the leaves are rustling in the breeze. And as we look around and we feel the soft steps of our feet on the forest floor, we notice that it's blanketed with this soft moss and crunchy leaves. And we take a deep breath and we know that we're safe here. So we're going to come back to our breath here in that forest, and we're going to use the forest as an example of matching our breath with that breeze in the trees, inhaling holding for a moment and then exhaling. And we're feeling that rhythm of our breath matching with the sensation of the trees breathing around us. So we have this symbiotic relationship with trees, right? They're breathing in. As we exhale, they're breathing in that carbon dioxide, and they are breathing out oxygen that we breathe in. So we need each other in this relationship here. We're going to feel that rhythm of our breath, and we have this sense of belonging in a greater atmosphere. We know that the world is here, that we are meant to engage in nature and work together to live in harmony with nature. Now we're going to begin to pay some attention to our nervous system. And we're going to visualize our nervous system as a delicate balance, the way our balance is living in harmony with the natural world. So when there's any external triggers that come our way, we want to imagine them as ripples in a pond. And we see ourselves standing by the shore, and we kind of watch those waves come and go, or we watch the ripples pass by after we throw the pebble in. It starts with a kind of big reaction, and then they kind of fade out, right? Or a wave, it crashes, but then it subsides. Or the tides get really intense certain times of day, but they always go back out again. So let's think about that when we think about symptom-based thoughts or external triggers or traumas we don't have control over as we're on our brain retraining journey. Maybe we are sitting with our feet in the pond in the forest. And as those ripples come forward and touch our toes, we just kind of watch them and we pay attention that it's a different sensation. But then they go away, or they become less noticeable over time, and we're in control about how we react. So we're still here regardless, but the ripples and the stimuli might be coming and going. Maybe the breeze gets stronger and goes away, or the birds get louder and then kind of quiet again. So our nervous system is learning how to respond with its own sense of control, or to just notice and be aware and be mindful, rather than being reactive, rather than feeling this overreaction or this knee-jerk reaction. So throughout our day, when we encounter something that would usually provoke a reaction, let's remember this peaceful forest scene. So the tall trees represent your resilience and your meaning in the world, your purpose in the world, to be at one in the natural world. We are meant to be here. The soft moss and the crunchy leaves beneath our feet show us that we have this solid foundation, this connection with the energetics of the earth. And we feel this beautiful sense of safety. And the breeze in the trees and the ripples in the river reminds us that nothing is ever exactly the same. Our goal with brain retraining is not to create a bubble where nothing bothers us or hurts us. Our goal with brain retraining is realizing that things are ever changing. We are living in a world where there are always going to be all of these stimuli, but we don't have to be afraid of them. Not every stimuli is a negative one. Not every thing that we encounter has to trigger a symptom. But we might notice that if we feel triggered, we pause, we take a deep breath, we notice, we use our curiosity, and we let that forest be a reminder that we can choose how to respond. And that just because something, even in the forest, if we hear a really sudden noise and it jars us for a moment, maybe we notice, oh, that was just a pine cone falling or a squirrel jumping to the branch. Even if we initially had that little bit of a fearful reaction, once we see what it is, we're able to decide, well, that's not a threat. Maybe it felt like a threat in the moment and it triggered us for a tiny moment. We felt our heart rate speed up, we felt our muscles tense. But if I noticed it was just a squirrel, I immediately can say to my amygdala and my hippocampus, well, we know that's not a threat. We remember that's not a threat. So would I let that continue to put me into a panic for the day? Or would I say, okay, it's just a squirrel, it's fine. Whew, take a breath, calm back down. Takes a few minutes, but we always get there. How can we use that with symptom-focused, trigger-focused, fearful thoughts in the brain retraining journey? So I know we've said this before, like, yes, obviously there are things that are not the best for us in our world. And I'm not saying go out there and just, expose yourself to environmental triggers or triggers that are super toxic just for fun. But when we're in a state where we want to be able to say, yeah, that is just a scent, like maybe a chemical smell. It's there, but maybe it scared me for a moment because it reminded me of a reaction I had in the past. but I don't have to have a reaction to that. Like, am I able to pass by that today and be okay? Maybe I am. Let's experiment with this. Or, okay, I did exert myself a little bit. Does that mean I'm 100% going to not feel good? Or just because I get that soreness or fatigue the next day, do I have to go with that steamroll reaction of, well, now I'm in a flare and everything's over? Or can I say, okay, I feel sore. I would also feel, a lot of people feel sore when they work out. A lot of people feel tired. My limbic system, I have to remind it, it's okay. I'm working on a new way of being. And part of that is always a little bit of discomfort or kind of hangover effect the next day or in that moment. So that feeling of, ooh, I'm tensing up. I feel a little bit of fear. Oh, it's not a huge thing. It doesn't always have to turn into a huge thing. So using that curiosity and that mindfulness when we're triggered, pausing, looking, sensing, allowing that we might have a different experience and a different reaction this time than we did in the past because we're actively taking care of our nervous system. So let's redirect our focus to the present moment. Let's tune into the sounds around us, maybe that rustling of the leaves, the chirping of the birds, and use nature as your guide to stay grounded. So take a moment here and just really visualize, what are the things in this forest that feel good to you? Is it sitting in the soft moss? Is it looking up and seeing the way that the trees play with the light and the clouds through the sunshine? Is it that nice cool breeze on our skin? Is it the sound of the animals around us? What helps us to feel safe here? And remember, throughout your day, that just like these trees in the forest, you can stand tall and be resilient and be symbiotic with the world around you, right? For us, what we breathe out, what is toxic, the trees breathe in as their fuel. And what they breathe out as a toxic byproduct is our oxygen that we need to live. So we know that all of these things around us play into our ecosystem, our environment, our strength somewhere. So even if we're facing something that might seem scary or maybe used to seem scary, we now have the power to choose your response. And with more and more practice, our nervous system will learn that it's okay and it's safe and it doesn't have to be reactive. So when you're ready, slowly open your eyes, return to the present moment, and enjoy that renewed sense of calmness and control and peace and strength. Thank you guys so much for joining me with this meditation. I hope you can carry this sense of ease and balance with you throughout your whole day. And I am hoping to be on here more often to make more of these videos for you. We had a few hiccups and bumps along the road this summer, and I do want to get into those in a different video to share with you soon if you're interested. But I love that you guys come on here so much, and I'm glad to hear when it's helpful to you. And like I said, I'm really working hard to also help with some of these other distractions that maybe come up. So hope you guys have a wonderful day full of healing, and we'll talk soon.